Welcome back to another installment of the production van build. In this video, we're simply going to be installing insulation. There is some insulation that I bought off of Amazon, and I know for a lot of production builds this is overkill, and for me in the summer I just felt like that thing is a hot tin can, and in the winter here in Denver, Colorado, it's going to get pretty cold. So I don't want a lot of wasted energy going through there, and I think this is just going to help regulate the temperature in there. So let's get to it. Let's start working on the insulation. I know for a production van, most people think this is overkill, but these things get pretty hot, and in the winter they get pretty cold. So my plan is to line this with some insulation, and it's not super thick stuff, it's 4 millimeters, so pretty thin stuff, but it has a heat shield on it too, so it should help in here because I don't plan on putting a bulkhead in, so I won't have any separation here between the cab and the cargo area. So my plan is to just put this insulation in here, so when I am heating up the van or I am trying to cool down the van, this will help immensely. So let's get started with this. So it's already a pretty hot day here in Colorado, and so it's already starting to heat up in the van. I'm trying to get this stuff started, so maybe it'll stay a little bit cooler in here while I'm working on it for the rest of everything else we're going to do in this build. So to start, before I put the insulation on, I am going to use just a degreaser cleaner and clean all the panels that it's going to be sticking to. The other things that I have here is not just the insulation itself, but I have these rollers that will help press everything on, get it nice and firm in there, and I shouldn't need any other adhesive other than what comes with the insulation. So let's take a look at the insulation and see what it looks like. So this insulation I just got off Amazon, and it has a peel stick backing on it. Let's get this out here. It's a giant roll. It's like, this roll cost me $288, so it's not cheap stuff. But what we've got here is an adhesive back, about 4 millimeters thick, and then a nice heat shield here. Nice heat shield. So this back will just peel away, super sticky, and we'll just start applying it to the panels. But first, before we do this, we're gonna wanna clean everything. So let's start with that. Cleaning these panels isn't much. We're just gonna take this spray this down a little bit, and then we're just gonna wipe these panels clean. The reason for this is because we want to get all that grease off so that we get a nice adhesion. And this is just a cleaner degreaser that I bought from Home Depot, so nothing crazy. But we'll go ahead and clean out this whole van. We're not putting any insulation here, but I thought cleaning this area would be good because this is where we're putting the E-track, and we're probably going to paint that so that it's black behind the E-track. So like while we're at it, it doesn't hurt to just clean everything. Get a nice clean surface before building on it. As we're going along, don't forget the ceiling as well, because we're going to be attaching insulation up there, and I can feel there's already heat coming off of this. So looking forward to getting this insulation in here. It'll be much cooler. Let's keep going. All right, now that that's all clean, we can start applying the insulation. It's getting really hot in here, so I'm gonna try to keep working through this. All right, let's get started on that. So I have to admit, this is the first time I've ever worked with this kind of material, so not exactly sure how it's gonna go, but I got a tape measure so we can kind of measure some things out. I'm not thinking it's gonna be perfect. It's kind of cut as you go and be a little bit easier to work with though as I cut some of it down. And then just a piece of cardboard. I got some Rust-Oleum paint, black, because most of the stuff in here is gonna be black when it's finished. But there's some spots in here that I think need to be touched up so that we don't have to worry about rust or anything like that happening. Granted, probably in time that's gonna happen, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna paint the sills down here because I was gonna run the board as far down as I can, but I'm still playing with those ideas, so it's kind of, we're doing this together. We'll see what we come up with. So let's start putting this insulation in, starting here on this bottom panel here in the corner, and we'll work our way back. Got 100 feet of this stuff. I think it's enough. Again, it was like $288 on Amazon at the time I'm doing this video. So if you're looking for it, I'll put a link in there. Hopefully it works out because it's hot in here. Again, I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's hot in here. All right, so let's get started. So if you check out what I have going on down here, I have this kind of workstation, I'm thinking. So I can use this box, put this up on the box, kind of guide myself on how big I want these panels to be, and then I'm able to cut it down to size using this cardboard and not the mat. So I'm just going to give myself kind of a rough estimate here. This panel goes back a little bit, so 26 inches, and I might just keep with the height of that and call it good. This is 2 feet, so our material is 2 feet, perfect. It's like they made it for this. But all I'm doing is turning my material around. So these have cut lines on them. This actually might help, you know, keeping your line straight. But we're 26 inches by 2 feet, so I'm just gonna cut out a quick 26 inches. So I'm just using this piece of cardboard as a straight edge. Again, doesn't need to be perfect. Let's use the actual straight edge. And got a fresh blade on my knife here. Just cut through. There we go. We're sticky on one side. My plan is to stick this in here, like so, and go right up to here. Or 24 inches. Where'd my measurement go wrong? I can still use this panel right here, but I feel like I was trying to get all the way back in there. Where'd I go wrong? 26 inches. Oops, cut it 21 inches. Luckily we got a lot of this and it can be used, so let's do the right way and do 26 inches. My buddy Mike would be killing me right now because I'm supposed to measure twice, cut once. All right. It's not the easiest stuff to work with when it's in a big roll like this. If you had a big shop, it'd probably make it a lot easier. Again, this stuff doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to do a good job. Let's do a good job, guys. Let's do a good job. right, got our new piece. It's gonna fit in there like so, nice and tight. Down in there. Once we start peeling off this back. So, what I like to do, or what I'm going to do, is really force that in there and then use that roller, which is right here. In this roller, we're just going to really roll this in here and get it in there nice and tight. So let's start on this piece. Alright, so let's start peeling away this backing. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty sticky. So what I'm thinking I want to do, shove it in there first, is to just cut away a piece of this and then cut it back there. So we'll peel it back just a little bit. I guess this paper will rip pretty easy, so just rip this off. And then it is super sticky. So we're going to try and get it as far back there as we can, while we can. Feels like it's in a pretty good spot. Okay. Just attach that a little bit. And then peel away the rest of this. Like so. And then what we want to do is kind of work this back area a little bit. That way it's on really well. And then work this top. This stuff sticks really well. So, work our way down. All the way across. Just like so. Looks nice and clean. Now we just repeat this process 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, a bunch. So let's keep going. This is that one piece we cut wrong, but no point in wasting it. If I get any leftovers, I can put it right in there. So I have this area up here. I have to figure out what I want to do. Do I want to pop this out and get rid of it? I think I do, because I don't foresee myself using this piece for anything, and I don't think wrapping it's going to be that nice. So I'll end up being able to take these few pieces out and run my plywood all the way up to this edge, which will look cleaner anyways. So we're going to pop these off. Looks like just some grommets there. Let me get a tool and we'll pop those off. So this tool is to pop these little pins out, and I've used these, you know, these are all over in cars and stuff. You just slide it in there and it's kind of looks like a little pry bar. And honestly, I have so many of these, so if they break off, whatever. Looks like it covered up this area, which was kind of nice. So what I could do with this piece is really chop it down. If I chop it down and put it back up in there, just as this little piece kind of keeps it clean up in there. So we'll hold on to it, because I could put a couple more grommet things in there. We'll be good. All right, let's keep going with this. I don't know about you, but periodically I like to clean up my work area just because it tends to get too messy and you start losing stuff and you need to see what's actually usable. So some of these small pieces are still going to be usable, but all this is trash. There we go, much cleaner and easier to see what's going on. So I noticed as I was putting all this stuff together, putting all this insulation in here, I saw that there is some rust and some dents that it looks like somebody might have hit something and they were just fixing that and banging it out. So it looks like this down here. And I'm just gonna put some Rust-Oleum on it before I put this insulation on, and we should be fine. I'm not gonna do anything crazy about it because it's gonna be behind the wall. So I know there's probably other treatments that other people would do, but I'm just gonna do this to kind of help it stop rusting as much. So again, this isn't gonna look pretty, it's just to cover up this open metal here. that's pretty much it. I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna put the insulation over the top, and the wall's gonna come down past that anyways, so I'm not too concerned about how that looks. Now, just like the panel on the sliding door, these back doors have these panels too. I'm gonna be putting new panels in, but I'm gonna keep these panels because I can use them as templates for the panels that I'm gonna put in, which are gonna be 1/4-inch plywood that are coated, and you'll see that in another video. But I'm gonna take these panels off these doors and see what kind of insulation I can put back behind these doors. This type of insulation is also like a sound dampening insulation, so I want to kind of put it in as many places in the van as I can, so it'll help, you know, bring down some of that loud sound as you're driving around in these vans. So hopefully it'll make it sound a little more compact and a little more sturdy. So let's get this panel off. Just using this tool again. Honestly, you can use a flathead screwdriver, but this thing is pretty awesome and it's super cheap. I think it was like, with all of these grommet things, pins, whatever you want to call them, it was like $8 on Amazon, or $9. So it's so worth it. Got through most of the van. You know, I'm back on these doors now. That spot where we painted, I need to get that taken care of. That's just a couple more panels, but I'm flying through this roll and I still have some left, so I'm pumped about that. Was not sure when I opened that box if I was gonna have enough, but whole roof is done and everything. There'll probably be a bunch of mechanics behind this door, so of course I'm gonna make it to where you can access the screws. Might even put an access panel in. It's not a bad idea, but may not even need it. Yep, just what I thought. There's a bunch of stuff back here. So let's see. Hold on to that. Let's take a look here. I could probably put in some stuff right here, clean all this up, put in a piece down there, behind that maybe, and that'll help with these doors too, because these doors are loud. Might even be able to put some on the back side here. But let's get this cleaned up. There's some electronics and stuff right in here for, it looks like, the license plate light. So I don't want to spray too much of this degreaser in there. So I'm just going to spray down here to start. Again, this will give me a clean backing to put this insulation in. Whoever was doing deliveries in this thing went down some dusty roads. Looks like that clip is in there. So we'll have to work around that, maybe piece some stuff in there. think that goes pretty deep up in there. Here's my hand. So I can put a pretty solid piece up in there if I can get it cut right. So it looks like I can reach about a foot up in there. That's where it starts to. So just for contact, say 11.5 inches. Where does this start to? We could do 11.5 inches by 28. Yeah, that would help. Let's try that. 11.5 by 28. Whew, that's 11. But I need 11.5 tall by 28. That could work. No reason to waste anything. We'll be getting a lot more accurate when we're putting the panels on, because we need those to fit just right. It's a little wiggle room in these vans, but not much. Let's check that out. All right, so the big thing is feeding this in there without destroying anything. So you might have saw in the time lapse, what I start doing when I put these in is start peeling this back, and that allows me to get it in there and stick it, and then I can reach my hand in there and start peeling the rest of the paper. That way you can still maneuver it a bit without it ripping off, without it sticking too much for you. So now that I got that peeled back a little bit, let's see about getting this in here without destroying wires. Kind of nice because you could just fold this stuff, get it up in there, unravel it, get it into your space, and now the hard part is getting that one piece that I started. Here we go. Get that stuck. I hope whoever gets this van afterwards likes this insulation, because this would be really hard to get back out. All right, so we got that up in there. Kind of push it down as much as we can. But again, not destroying anything. And again, I kind of like the idea of putting a strip back here. It's pretty dirty up in there. But anything to help dampen these doors, because they're just so hollow. You could stuff them with something and all that, but I don't want to do that. Just need to be able to keep getting to these wires and you should be fine. Not sure what that's for. Some sort of, oh, I bet you that's for if you want to put a cage around this. Let's see what we have for scraps. We have this piece right here. It's pretty good scrap. Feels about the right amount, actually. Let's cut it out here so that we're not interfering with that. And then let's do our same technique of putting it up in there and then just pulling back one corner. Get that one corner back, stuff it in there, get it up into the spot. Feels pretty good right there. So I can stick that side. Stick. It's tough not being able to see anything. Pretty dirty up in there, so it feels like wherever I cleaned is sticking. But there's an end I must have missed right here. Feels a little loose. Cool, that's all in there. All right, let's pop this other one and see what it looks like. What I'm going to do before I forget is I'm going to mark this as the right door and that is the left door. So let's get some tape. Obviously from the outside looking in, this is the right door. And then we'll mark this one sitting on the ground here. Left door. I did lowercase and all uppercase. Don't know why. This is old adage that you want to do a job good enough to when someone else opens it back up, however long, years, and says, wow, that was done really well. And you know, taking care of your stuff makes it last so much longer. Granted, this was used, so you know, I'm starting from there, but you could still take care of it from here. So I want this to look nice, so when somebody opens it up, they're like, wow, that was done really well, or it's done pretty good. Sometimes I'll take pretty good. All right, let's see what we got here. Space. I just realized on the other door, we didn't do that bottom panel. Did we cut a piece? I don't think we cut a piece for it, but we're gonna do that. We're gonna go back to that. So this were about the same, 6 by 28. Be the same here. 6 by door stuff there. 6 by 28, that'll fit too. So 2 pieces, 6 by 28. Let's do that. And then we'll go back and finish that bottom panel. It's so funny, I was looking at it. Thought we did it. Okay, now that this area has dried, where we painted over some of that rust and some of that open metal, we can fill in these last two cavities and we've completely insulated the van. I have a bunch of a roll left, so not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's nice to have extra in case I'm moving along here and there's something else I want to go ahead and add insulation to. So let's get those last two sections in. Just trace the outline into that, and then I'll cut a little bit further on the inside, because that's what I ran into on the other side. Was I cut it a little too wide. Of course, the last panel is going to give us an issue. The paper decided to stick in one little spot. Let's use our little pry tool. See if we can get it up. There we go. Start it in. Pesky paper. All right, that's everything. We're gonna get this cleaned up, and then we're gonna look at the wheel wells, see if the other little piece we have is gonna work with what we're trying to do. So let's check that out. Like I said, there's a lot of pieces left over, so may be able to use these in certain areas. But let's get this cleaned up, and then let's look at the wheel wells. All right, so I am super excited about these. These are the wheel wells from Legend. Look at these things. So they're super sweet. Already come pre-lined if you want that. Not if you want that, they come pre-lined. Sweetest thing. They just fit over the wheel wells like that. So already pre-lined, but we're gonna think about doing some more lining because they fit over nice, but we can actually add more insulation over that wheel well. So I think that's what we're gonna do because we've got some gap here. So we're gonna do that. This is gonna go, this lip is gonna go under the subfloor. So we're going to pull out the mat before we even attach these. So, but they clean it up real nice. I'm really excited about those. So let's start going over the wheel well, and it's kind of just going to be taking a little bit of time at it because we're going to be just cutting little pieces. And actually what we can do is, I just realized this isn't fully stuck in there. So we could use this as a template, and it's not perfect, you know, there'll be some gaps, but we could do it. Might be something to think about. Just not sure how, it's not super stuck to it, so we could do it. I think we're gonna do it. Just make sure not to, you know, it'll give us a good idea, but we just don't want it to be, we don't want it to stick to our other stuff. So let's give it a shot. We'll use the cardboard box from Legend here. We'll just lay this out. I'll actually bring ours up over first and just lay this out gently. And then we can just get an idea of a tracing here, and we don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just lay that back in there, and we'll just do kind of a rough cut of this whole thing. Now what we can do is take this and put it over our frame, over our wheel well, and just kind of work it and cut where we need to. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can just line this up here, right on the bottom there. We'll just start working it around. And where you need to cut, just cut. Till it forms really nice. And we could just do some overlapping. Might just be the two cuts. Cut a little wide there, so cut that off. That'll actually form in pretty nice. Just two cuts. Same thing, start smoothing it over, cut where you need to. Timer off. Hey Siri, timer off. All right, make sure our Legend sticky is back in. There we go, right over the top. Pretty sweet. I like those a lot. All right, now that we got all the insulation in, our next step is to frame it out. So the star of this show is going to be E-track. This E-track is going to ride on the top side here, and it's going to ride down here. We also have 10 footers that are going to go along this side as well. So our biggest thing is we're going to build around this. What we want to do is have our 1/4 inch slide right into this channel here. So once this is up on the wall, our paneling will go flush up against this. So the biggest thing is getting this in first. One little thing on here too, it says made in USA. You want to make sure that is right side up. Actually, it's on both sides, so it really doesn't matter. Just made in the USA, cool. All right, so what we're gonna do is for the framing, I have a bunch of 3/4 inch plywood. It was for a project that I never did finish or never did start. So my plan is to frame everything out with that. I'm gonna cut 1 inch strips and then start with all the framing in here. And it's really gonna be kind of just you know, figure it out as we go and see how we like it. There's gonna be some things that are gonna be adjusted. There's gonna be some things that, you know, aren't gonna work out the way we wanted, but I think it's gonna turn out great. So let's get started on that. Right now, I'm just gonna rip a bunch of a 4x8 sheet up. I know a lot of people get furring strips, and those are great too. Those are already cut, and then you can just, you know, put them right in here. Also, I plan on doing pocket holes for all of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that going.